Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation. We're going to be bringing you guys a game between Team Liquid and Kaipi Gaming. Sorry, we're starting off a little bit behind schedule, but now we're moving on into it. So this is going to be an interesting match. The Kaipi actually making their debut in the Premier League here. They did end up replacing previous team, and so now they are taking that slot there. As far as playoff potential, there's not that much there because they are down on the low rankings, replacing Pain Gaming. So pretty much they're not really looking to jump into the bubble, but if they can drag down Team Liquid a little bit in the playoffs, that definitely feel good for them as far as their team's improvement and trying to move in towards bigger and better things as time goes by. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll jump on into the draft now. It looks like I am going to be solo casting at least game one, I believe, probably the entire series. So for those of you guys that enjoy the co-commentary of Vikramand, unfortunately not going to be available today, but in general we try to get him on pretty frequently here, and hopefully you guys enjoy that in general. But either way, I'll try to suffice as a solo cast for today specifically, and we're going to be looking at here a couple of interesting drafts. Immediately, Team Liquid going to be snapping up IO. They have banned out the Keeper Light and the Magnus, and then Kaipi answering back with a Bat Rider and Nyx Assassin. So under those circumstances, it really kind of levels the playing field here. Those are 5 essentially top tier heroes, and IO is going to be the one that Team Liquid can acquire. Now, remaining in the pool, there's still a Darkseer available. There's also other very powerful supports like a Shadow Demon, or they could go for something like a solo mid. A lot of really powerful draft potential, and I'm curious to see Kaipi's style a little bit more and more, because I honestly have not gotten to check out more than like 3 of their recent games. I've seen Eternal Envy play plenty. I've actually seen Arise in the meta in the pool a lot of different times, but in this case, all of these 5 together, I've only seen them a small handful of times. So it'll be interesting to see their style, but right off the bat, going with a draft that's really all about AoE initiation. You go through with that vacuum, you have a wall to back up with physical damage as well as flat cannon, and then you also have the call down damage, ion shell, so on and so forth, delivering a good damage over time as well. So they really have a great combo with these 2 heroes, and it also doesn't hurt their lanes one bit. Darkseer is a great offlaner that can survive under such difficult circumstances, and then Gyrocopter will be either mid or in the carry role, depending on if Eternal Envy wants to be running the gyro. Alright then. So, moving on into the draft for Team Liquid, would kind of be expecting a Shadow Demon to be picked up. Gyrocopter doesn't have that much range to him. He, of course, his flat cannon does go to 1,000 if he can just strike a single target, but if you can cut him out where there are no targets to be had with the Demonic Purge, then he's actually, I wouldn't say half melee, but he definitely has his limitations as far as range. Along with that, can dispel a little bit of the Darkseer buffs and things along those lines, but for right now, I see them just going for that kind of global strat. They already have IO, they are now picking up the Nature's Prophet for Boba, and the remaining question is, do they want to right now draft up the CK just to make sure that TC has a very powerful carry that will synergize nicely with the Wisp, or are they going to leave it open because there are so many different heroes that can work with them? The Lifestealer, the Sven, the Tiny also jump right on into that, and we have seen even Rikimaru run by no Tidehunter actually, so that's a pretty interesting composition. But either way, right now they have the choice to either go for that core carry hero to synergize with the Wisp, or they'll just let it slide and force out a heck of a lot of bans. But for right now, the Nyx will come out, and it's a pretty solid pickup here. Chews through Darkseer's high strength growth very quickly, and along with that, it's not the most likely of things that Kaipi will pick up a Shadow Demon here, but it's not beyond seeing it. I think Kaipi would be remiss not to pick up some kind of disabling support, so a Bane or a Shadow Demon would be the 2 great options here. But we will have to see what they want to answer back with here, because Team Liquid is pretty well fortified in their mid-game presence. They want to go in, they want to be on the initiation, they just have to get out of the laning phase. In this situation here, IO desperately needs level 6. Nature's Prophet could really use a well-timed Midas. He can definitely benefit a lot from having that early experience gain and early gold gain to make sure things are working out as they're supposed to. Alrighty then, so what are we looking for here? Well, I got 1 more minute left on the reserve time for Kaipi Gaming. They, like I said, I believe they should round out their lanes. I believe they should go for the supportive pickup, and that way the Gyrocopter can remain flexible. But if they really want a solid mid, there's still a couple of really powerful options that they could be gunning for. I I think that if you get good supports, if you focus on the lanes, you're going to be in a much better position, and that's what they do here. Like I said, between Bane and Shadow Demon, Bane is generally going to be the one that more directly counteracts the Lifestealer with that Fiend's Grip, and has a lot of potential. The biggest issue is making sure it doesn't get disabled. Lifestealer Nyx, they don't have much covered, but IO does have that tether, and if you do tether out the Fiend's Grip, then yeah, it might be a very, very difficult thing to go up against. I expect Kaipi now to be banning out the Rubik, because Rubik is so powerful against Darkseer and Bane. Just a ton of great spells to steal, and they're actually pretty easy to get that accomplished. So that is what I would expect, is a Rubik to be picked up if it is still available in the pool. Otherwise, we'll just be looking for a couple of different and more diverse options. Let's see. Team Liquid still needs to get Korok, a mid-oriented hero. That's what Kaipi's going to be looking to ban out here. Maybe a Puck, Queen of Pain, those kinds of things. Definitely a lot of different options though, and don't want to neuter themselves entirely, because you know you need a solo for yourself, and they can run the gyrocopter in that fashion, but generally speaking, that's been seen less and less commonly. We generally see more and more of the gyrocopter in the carry role, just because he has so much potential with that flag cannon. Still, hard to say. We'll see exactly what's going on between the different teams, but Storm Spirit's going to be a great ban to start off. I do think that's a very, very effective ban for what they're trying to negate. They're trying to make it so that Surge is kind of the last word in a team fight as far as disengaging, whereas Storm Spirit, he doesn't care how fast you run. If he has mana to work with, he's going to be able to vortex you in for most of that duration, and then follow it up with some good slowing overload or overcharge. Anyways, along with that, again, they're just trying to protect the Bane, make sure he can get his ulti off. In the meantime, Team Liquid looking to ban out some more core-oriented heroes. They actually expect the gyrocopter to be in a mid-roll. Again, that remains to be seen, but it seems more and more likely now that Kaipi has taken out both the Storm Spirit and the Puck. If they take out something like a Queen of Pain, there are just so few options to run in the mid lane. I mean, there's still plenty of options. It's a huge hero pool, but as far as what's trending right now, as far as what a lot of people say, this is what we need to pick up to kind of dominate the mid game, gank up, aggressively control runes, so on and so forth. There's only so many heroes that specialize so specifically with those kinds of things.
Radiant team ban.
Alrighty then, so the next ban coming out is the Queen of Pain, actually. So Team Liquid kind of bouncing back and forth between what they feel is a threat. In this situation, going late game versus a Phantom Lancer would be a terrible idea no matter what, and without a gyrocopter to deal with that, they'd be pretty much resorting to something like a dual core lineup, just trying to deal with him directly, or a hard push lineup, which they generally haven't drafted for. IO and Nyx don't contribute anything at all to pushes, and that's going to really transition their team in a completely different direction they don't want to be looking towards. I mean, yes, they could go for Nature's Prophet as more of a core than an off lane, and then follow that up with a Chen or Enchantress pushing away, but they just don't want to feel pressed. They want to feel comfortable to play their game in their timing, and not have to go over aggressive just to make things work out. Anyways, the final ban coming out, that is going to be the Shadow Demon, so that is odd way to draft it, in my opinion, but it's still something that they really, really respect IX Mike in. He is a great Shadow Demon player. They do have first pick, and if they wanted to snap that up, it would have been more than likely. And in fact, now that I think about it, because of the fact that the Shadow Demon pick would have been a pseudo ban to Kaipi, where they don't get a second support that locks down the Lifestealer, I think Team Liquid would have snapped that up really, really quickly, and that's something that Kaipi just doesn't want to have to face. So I think it's actually a really good ban. Now that I think about it a little bit deeper, it definitely has a little bit of a back and forth aspect to it, but it is actually a very, very, very powerful ban. Either way, now we see the Brewmaster selected here, so that is going to be the mid for Korok, and so the lanes are really, really shaping up here. We have Bulba on the Nature's Prophet down on the bottom. We do have the Lifestealer played by TC up top. Korok going to be playing the Brewmaster in the mid, and then we have IO picked up by either Fluff or IX Mike. Both of them have picked up this hero a couple of different times, but I believe Fluff and Stuff is the primary Wisp carrier. So from there, IX Mike's going to be looking for either a lane support or a jungler, and we'll see exactly how that's going to play itself out.
5 seconds remaining.
Alrighty then. So what we have here, we have the next pickup coming on through. What they need to do is start actually building more towards their lineup than others. A lot of people fall into the trap of saying, okay, well, we're up against a Lifestealer and a Wisp. That's definitely something to respect. That's definitely something to draft against. But you also have to start drafting for yourself. What does your team need? Because in this situation here, Darkseer's Surge and Vacuum work well with the Gyrocopter. That's about it. The Bane is all about counteracting enemy heroes, whereas this Lion pickup is a little bit more of both. He has the aggressive potential with a quick burst of Finger of Death, but he also has some great defensive disables, especially if he goes for a Hex-oriented build. Again, not the most common selection here, but just kind of going for those long duration hexes can really change how a team fight's playing out. Maybe stop a Brewmaster ultimate and delay that for some time. That could be rather promising. So, a lot of cool ways this can be played out, and I definitely think this is more oriented on how they want to play it rather than worrying about how Team Liquid wants to play it. The one issue I gotta say they have is mobility. Kaipi, other than Surge, have no way of moving on to the rest of the map. So the second that somebody gets ganked, they better have a scroll or they're going to be screwed over, and even then, it might be too late. Either way, the final pickup coming out of Team Liquid, something I predicted kind of really early on, with the Darkseer, win the Bane. Both of them got picked up, and now the Lion even makes it juicier. That spell steal on the Rubik is going to be going to town. Along with that, it does have the no field passive, so reducing that magic damage could help them out considerably against Call Down, against the Earth Spike and Finger of Death and those kinds of things. So very powerful hero in multiple regards, but yeah, definitely going to see him in this supportive role here to see what he can accomplish, just trying to spell steal things, mainly the Fiend's Grip. He can Fiend's Grip a Gyrocopter and not get interrupted. It's going to be just devastating. It really is. So we'll see. Final pickup coming out of Kaipi Gaming here. We do see that they have a very intellect-oriented lineup, but that doesn't stop them from picking up the Sand King. It's pretty much, he's still although he's strength, he's very combat casting oriented. He's going to go for a lot of magic-oriented damage, really quick bursts in an AoE fashion, but I'm not sure how effective it's going to be. It's going to be great against IO and Nature's Prophet if they catch them off guard, and maybe Wisp Tether is on cooldown. But the issue here is Lifestealer has Rage, he's very tanky just by being strength. Same with Brewmaster, having a large amount of effective HP. Now you add in the no field passive, and as soon as a pipe comes out on anyone, which, to be fair, it probably would go on the Brewmaster if anybody, and that would take quite a bit of time. Either way, I really think that their potential will be nullified when we hit about the 35-40 minutes if a pipe comes out. So no field is going to help out against him quite a bit, and right now I think they're just going for a quick burst disable lineup. As far as their composition, this might just be a mid Lion or a mid Sand King, but it's kind of it's not the 100% either way. Right now we do see the Branches and Tango build coming out for Arise, so presumably, yeah, he's going to be picking up the mid. He is going to be up against a Brewmaster, which is a great matchup for him. He's going to be looking at ranking up Caustic Finale and dealing a lot of damage incidentally. I mean, magic resistance is 25%, but it's going to force the Brewmaster off the lane multiple times over. I'm sure it's something that Korok has dealt with before, but it's still kind of a thorn in the side for a melee matchup to have to deal with that Caustic every single time you try to get a deny, or even in many last hits. So we do see early on that it is going to be Eternal Envy picking up the Gyrocopter here, carrying it up with Zizao on the supportive Lion. Then we have here Pylidai going to be running support as well. As far as their net worth goes, they've actually gotten a few stats for themselves, a few branches here and there. That's actually going to help them very nicely in the early skirmishes aspect. But I'm not sure that that's something they're going to have to worry about right here, because Boba is going to be looking to jungle. He has 3 Clarities stocked on up. He's going to be moving in and just controlling the camps, and it shouldn't be too difficult. Nothing's blocked off. Everything is free and open, and without having to commit any sentry wards, Boba's going to have a pretty good time getting an early GPM. So here they are going to be completely seeding the bottom lane. It's going to be 3 versus 0, so in this sense it's kind of a 3.5-1-0 lineup for Team Liquid, but in that sense they realize they respect Nightmare into any kind of line disable into the Rocket Barrage is too much for anybody to handle, especially a no escape hero like the Nature's Prophet. So that is going to be a really big deal, and now we see him just moving on in to pick up some farm here in the jungle. Interestingly enough, we see something similar out of Darkseer. I'm not sure if this is 100% necessary. Wisp doesn't have nearly as much trialing presence as something like a Bane, and also the TC's slow open wounds would be absolutely nothing to him. He would immediately surge that out. You do have to worry about the telekinesis. It's a pretty hard disable, and Fluff did pick up boots to kind of go for zoning hardcore, but nevertheless, it's something that if he was like level 3 or something, it might be more viable for him to actually be able to find an opportunity to actually get some experience. For right now, though, just bringing down the easy camp very quickly, stack it up on the western hard camp, and that's pretty much that. Now, Korok is taking quite a few hits here, does a little bit of clap action to trade back and forth, gets a crit out of it, so he's actually doing extremely well right here. This is kind of man mode between these two heroes. The one thing to mention, though, is Sand King only has 3 armor. Korok only has 3 armor as well, but he does have evasion. So the second that procs off, he's going to have a great advantage in that matchup. But here comes Pilating trying to go for that Nightmare, and a Nightmare into Burrow Strike could have been amazing here, but Fluff is actually just coming in, harassing people back, and it's kind of looking to be more towards a 2 versus 2 type matchup. Korok needs a little bit of support to finish up his bottle here, and he just needs actually one more last hit, and that is going to be in the bag. Now we do see Arise picking up his own bottle. He's had that for quite some time, so he's feeling pretty good about this, though it looks like he's going to go for Bottle Crow. And yeah, the Raccoon just going to play the role of the Milkman, setting that back the other direction, which is kind of surprising because they do have the Bane to contest the runes. It's pretty much he doesn't want to have to worry about it as extensively here. Korok, again, no bottle just yet, so it's not that big a deal either way, but actually Korok in a bad spot here. Where's the Bane? The Bane is actually being harassed back by he's trying to harass back the Rubik, but if he just came on in and tried to help out up against Korok, I think they could have put more pressure out. Either way, Bane is invis, helping to control the runes, and now Fluff is actually the one that has to watch himself very, very carefully, because we do see the transition in from the Darkseer. It is only rank 1 Iron Chill, not that much damage, but every little bit counts. To start off, we see the Nightmare on the mid. Zizu is here as well. They start off with the Burrow Strike, going on through with the Earth Spike to follow. This Hex is going to be too much for them to handle. Nice telekinesis, stunning off on 2 of them. After the fact, Korok still in a bad spot. Switching over to Fluff, Iron Shell Surge. It is going to be enough damage with this Burrow Strike to follow for the first blood, but Korok limps away. He will actually get on out of there. Fluff and Stuff sacrificing his life to make sure that the core Brewmaster will be able to survive on forward.
Dire's bottom tower.
Meanwhile, down at bottom, Bassi picked up. Eternal Envy just wants to be rid of this laning situation as quickly as possible, using his barrage, using his flat cannon, and having that Bassi on. He just wants to push, and doing a pretty good job of it right now, dropping over half of the tower's HP early on, whereas the top has been completely untouched by Liquid.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Interesting build-up by TC here. We're seeing him go for a very swift Midas, and that's going to be nice for him. And if we also do see Boba picking up a Midas for himself, it's actually going to be a lot of presence in the sense that they are opening up their late game wide open. Gyrocopter is great late game, but against 2 equally farmed core heroes, he doesn't stand a chance. They have too much single target damage, and they can bring him down very, very quickly. He buys a Butterfly, they buy an MKB, so on and so forth there. So it's actually very, very difficult for Gyrocopter to deal with these multi-core lineups, especially with the Sheepstick that'll come out on the Prophet, and I believe a Basher that would inevitably come out on TC in the later stages of the game. So with those kind of lockdown mechanisms, I really think that Liquid is smart to run this dual core and go for both of those Midases really early on, because they can get a huge advantage early. I'm talking about around the 15 to 16 minute mark, and actually Pilating in a bad spot here. They did go for the open wounds and towards the tether, so with Boba coming in, they get enough right click damage to bring him down, and that was just a bit of a mistake by Pilating. He shouldn't have come out this far forward, just pretty much immediately paying the price of his actions here, with Liquid just capitalizing on it. That's what this Observer Ward's all about. They get vision of anybody slightly out of position, and they jump. They are on the prowl here, and with even rank 1 open wounds, they'll find those kills and try to transition into a push that capitalize even further on those gains. Nice crits coming out from Korok. I gotta say, this is only a rank 1 Drunken Brawl. It's only a 10% chance, and we've seen at least 2 or 3 in the mid lane already. It seems like a small deal, but that extra burst of damage has forced him back. Speaking of, on top lane, now they are going to be able to just mow down these creeps and actually put a huge amount of damage on the tower. The only thing stopping them is this Iron Shell. Bubba will have to micro that creep on out, but the Lifestealer is actually in on this TC all by himself. I'm not sure about this. The TP's coming on through. He is nightmared on in. His supports have no chance of getting to him, and this is a huge mistake. TC has rank 3 Rage, but he doesn't even get the chance to use it. Overextending 100% and paying for it with his life. Oh my gosh, that we're not on the same page there. Now we do see that Nature's Prophet was able to pick up the kill on the Gyrocopter. That's really, really important for them. between Fluff and Bulba. They were able to find an opportunity to burst him down very, very nicely, and that sets up Bulba nicely towards his Midas, but nevertheless, it's a carry for a carry, and that was a trade they didn't have to make. Now we do see, roaming on around, let's look at the items, because it's interesting to me that the supports are really not picking up too much whatsoever on Kaipi's lineup here. Zizao only has sentries and branches. You can say a little bit more for Piality with a TP scroll, but it's really because they are wanting to make sure that they're not getting like 4v1, 4v2'd based on this Nature's Prophet, and soon to be based on this Wisp. So it's good item pickup to get that scroll, but it's limiting them because they're only just now getting boots. So they haven't been having as much presence on the lane, and we do actually see a smoke coming on out for Liquid. They're on the aggressive, starting off the telekinesis, going on in with the clap, with the primal split. There's no hope for him here. He wants to do some damage to Fluff and stuff, but not really any chance. The Sprout actually catching out Bone 7, and so they're going to be able to do a ton of damage here. Will Bulba drop down? Not without a vacuum, and so he is going to instead take a fall, and they're looking for Lion as well. Nice tornado to set it up, but they didn't get the Earth Panda stun. Just going for a wand into clap, and Zizao with that crit is definitely going to fall. Oh my gosh, Korok lucking out with these crits, but also just positioning himself so beautifully in these engagements. Those tornadoes, setting it up, just picking them apart piece by piece. Gotta say, I love this play coming out of Liquid so early on, and they're still putting pressure out elsewhere. We do see that IO has picked up level 6, Mike and TC putting pressure there, but they can be anywhere on the map at a moment's notice. Arise putting pressure on the mid tower, but honestly not as much as I'd like. He has Caustic Finale rank 2. He can push down this tower insanely quickly, but the issue is he's terrified. IO with a simple dust suddenly seals his fate. Same with Bulba. They can just jump in 3 people at a time, and although obviously, like I said, Arise should be able to push down this tower very quickly in the absence of Liquid, he doesn't know when they're going to strike next, and even as simple as a Brewmaster Clap or a Fluff and Stuff Telekinesis is enough time to set up all those teleports and make it so that Arise pretty much will get singled out whole entirely. So now we see the things shaping up a little bit differently. The last hits right now going the way of TC, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be that big of an impact, honestly. Like last hits between the different heroes, they're going to get their gold one way or another, but it really comes down to positioning and control, and right now Liquid has that entirely. So in these matchups, actually, my gosh, missing out a pickoff on the Brewmaster on the mid lane here. I was actually checking out, looking for the push on top, but it does look like they were able to bring him down. Not committing the Fiend's Grip, though. That's very, very important. Just a Brain Sap with an Epicenter and Burrow Strike combo was very, very nice for them. Now they don't have Epi, but they can move in with this Haste Rune. Fortification's already been popped off, though, so Nature's Prophet will pick up the last hit on the tower. Here comes Zizu, but he only has regular boots. They're relying on Sand King to get the perfect positioning, but they don't want to extend too far either. Ion Shell up, roaming on around, but they aren't going to be able to get a retaliation kill. So despite losing the Brewmaster, which is rather unfortunate, Team Liquid takes the last hit on the top tower, and that puts them much further ahead in the game than they already were. Now looking at maybe 2,200 as far as the gold advantage, even though the experience advantage is settling back down to 1k. So, as far as what Kaipi need to be looking to do to get in this game, it kind of feels more oriented towards a 5-man push. They've been doing some good pickoffs here, finding out the Brewmaster, so on and so forth, is things that they can really, really benefit from. But unless they have all 5 teamfight mechanisms, they're going to have a favorable engagement to win this. So we're talking smoke ganks, or we're just talking tower pressure. Either one of those can work wonders, but the big thing is they just can't get caught out. Every single time they get caught out, it gets worse and worse for Kaipi Gaming. They really, really want to keep the pressure rolling and start going in for momentum because, as I said before, Midas on Prophet, not on the lifesteal, but on the Prophet at least, gives a little bit more late game potential to Team Liquid. Fortification forced out. This is the kind of things they really need to keep happening, but we do see rotating on in. Korok has that Arcanes and Fluff and stuff as well, so they have tons of mana to work with here. Mana-reliant heroes now just shrugging that limitation off as they go in with plenty of sustainability here. Meanwhile, Darkseer doesn't even have a Soul Ring. It looks like he's rushing for an early mech or an early pipe, and that means that he's going to be very, very far away from actual mana sustainability. And between the two of those, I'm assuming the mechanism is going to be the case, because Bane and Lion aren't really seen that commonly to force that out. We do see the call down, the Fiend's Grip coming out, Fluff stealing the Fiend's Grip up, but he gets hexed. No cast available. Ix might come on in with that tether, but actually just bursted down hardcore. TC left out by himself, has to pop off that ultimate, and instead he's just going to have to fall back. 2 low HP supports, but the rage is expired. TC is going to be the one on the run here, and with a surge, Sand King could actually close the distance. TC has to rage TP on out. He will survive, but this tier 1 tower, as well as their team fight in general, absolutely has not. This has been devastating for them. Losing the Brewmaster before the Primal Split came on through. Great Fiend's Grip, and unfortunately, well, I'm not even saying unfortunately for Fluff. It was just solid play coming out of the Lion. So Zizo gonna be able to hex up the Rubik the second he got the spell steal off. By not actually casting a Fiend's Grip in return, that set it up so the Brewmaster would die. Chain of events. The Brewmaster dies, no Primal Split. The IO gets bursted down by the Bane after the fact. And from there, they have full control of the team fight. TC had to fall back really close to 2 big kills, but Treads is not enough when your rage expires, and he just got kited. He just got peeled off with those powerful disables, and as a result, Kaipi now sitting 6 and 5, which is definitely much closer to where they want to be. Let's look at the experience swing. 1k advantage now in favor of Kaipi, and the gold is leveling off a little bit as well. Down at bottom, we do see the initiation going on. Arise will be able to burrow out of that sandstorm, but he is caught in the sprout as well. A couple right clicks, and the clap will go his way. Fluff dropping low. This impale does strike, but he needs 2 right clicks to get it. Oh, he actually just gets it with 1. Nice 8-click damage there. Kind of impressed me. Zizo dropping pretty quickly. Will he be able to juke in the fog? Bone 7's already gone with that TP, but Bulba actually able to net the kill in the long run. We do see Tornadoes out onto Eternal Envy, trying to clean this up as well. They do also have the open wounds in 5 seconds. It's enough to bring him down here. Trying to do some return damage, but it's just not going to work out. Wow. Sorry about the sirens there, but we do see Korok taking a big hit. A lot of tower damage coming on through, nothing being evaded, but he's confident that his team could still push up very nicely after the fact on this tower. Looking at this position here, this is much more where Liquid wants to be, in control, and yeah, they set themselves up very nicely in their positioning, in their action. But we do see, actually, with this burst strike, I was talking about how low Korok got under that tower. Homing missile striking. It was only a rank 1 missile, but still, tower hit him about 5 or 6 times. That adds up quickly, and of course the follow-up damage was there. So good movement, taking the best of the worst situation, and Kaipi will get something out of it in return. One thing I want to mention real quick is the right-click damage of Lion. It's something that a lot of people underestimate, myself included. This situation here, he does have about 70 right-click damage with absolutely no items whatsoever. He just has good base damage. The scaling is, you know, so-so. 3.0, you can't complain about it. But in this situation, it's just really about that base. There's a number of heroes and supports that have great base damage, and that's one thing that Lion definitely brings to the table. So, interesting to see that work out for them, and that does get them a couple of return kills. But now we're looking at what potential we see going on into the next phase. It's all about team fights. It's all about push and pressure, and really, Liquid has this available once Primal Split comes up. The relocate doesn't hurt either. They can pretty much go aggressive for a favorable engagement whenever they want, and then they can go for a unfavorable one as soon as Korok gets that ulti up. So right now, going in 3-man, looking for a smoke gank up on mid. Eternal Envy, a little bit in a rough spot, but hiding on out. These guys are out of the vision of the Dire. Right now, the wards show on the mid lane. They show absolutely nothing other than that. Actually, down on bottom is plenty of ward action, but they only just now see Arise in this position, and it's, I would say it's too late, but now here comes a Blink Burrow coming in from Arise. They drop the call down as well, but only onto TC. Arise taking too much damage, tethered up, right-click down, and now he is going to be dropped quickly. But Fluff and Stuff as well had to buy back out of this situation, and so it's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange. But one thing is Liquid knows about this Blink Dagger, but they also had to pay for it with a buyback. Fluff and Stuff did not expect that range of initiation, and it's understandable, but a mid Sand King is going to be able to pick up a Blink very early on, and you have to watch out for that. Still has Epicenter available, but he is in the grave for 15 seconds. Plenty of time to push down on this tier 1 tower and put another permanent advantage in Liquid's pocket here.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Looking back over at last hits, again, it's not changing much. I talked about this a while ago. It was like hovering around 65 in the laning situation. 5 minutes later, it's about that because it's not the priority. If they can find some on the side, great. But in this situation, it's not going to be that big of an impact compared to just getting good gold from kills and assists, being in the right position. Speed and going on in, they're going to be able to go for this Roche here. They do, however, duke it out with a Sand King illusion, which may give away some of their intentions, especially if these spirits happen to clip up on the high ground. Either way, it looks like they're going to move into counter initiate, but they have to get the best epicenter off. to make this work here. Now Roche is falling very, very quickly, dropping down to 1500 HP. Keep an eye on the Sand King. He's already, no, not going for the FP just yet, going for a Blink Burrow onto Bulba, but Roche is going to fall. No, it's not. They actually relocated on out. They're trying to go and try to just feint this out while TC finishes it off. Ixman coming in with Korok doing a lot of damage, but taking a lot from the call down. Gyrocopter Pilotti just destroying everything, but here comes the Primal Split. Still comes out. Bode 7 gonna fall as well. Wisp has already dropped on down, but getting the Sprout. I'm not sure about this Tornado, but the Sprout was really, really good on Envy. So they're just kind of playing with their food right now, cleaning things up nicely, but the Epicenter comes on in. Arise actually making a big mistake here. That was not worth it whatsoever. TC turning around, getting huge right-click damage, finishing off Envy, and looking for more. Pilotti will be the next target choice, and oh my gosh, that Sprout from Bulba. TP comes out, but it's not going to be enough. He will get dropped, and that was an amazing fight for Liquid. Really, really setting things up nicely, and it felt Kaipi was just a little bit scattered. They were looking to finish off 2 heroes before the main team fight broke out. TC dropped the Roche, and in that time period, in that moment of hesitation, Kaipi Gaming didn't net the 2 kills they were looking for. They had a Fiend's Grip on one, they had a good line stun on the other. They were both dropped so low, but IX Mike lived a little bit longer, and more importantly, the Brewmaster was able to get that Primal Split off. The Primal Split, we saw how powerful its disables were there, just getting stuns left and right, singling out people all over the place, and, you know, when you lose your Darkseer, you lose your Lion, suddenly you don't have that much of a team fight. And in this situation, that proved itself very, very true, because they were able to clean up nicely. After the fact, after all that was said and done, Arise brings in a rank 1 Epicenter. That was way too weak to make that much of an impact. He just wanted to get a kill on the Lifestealer. It's understandable. A mid for a carry is generally going to be a favorable exchange, but in this situation, he had the Armlet. Also had the Aegis, so best case, you just pop off an Aegis. But either way, he was able to survive, just popped off the Rage and the Armlet as soon as he took a little bit too much damage, and he was fine and dandy, able to right-click down onto the Gyrocopter and pick up some more kills for himself. So, in the end, Sand King just feeding it away, and this sets it up for Liquid to take it 14-12, as well as a Roche advantage. So, very, very substantial, adding up very quickly. And looking back at the items, we see a mech up for Bulba, huge team fight presence. Korok has that Blink, another potential for large amounts of initiation, especially when this Primal splits up in just a minute. Now we do see Real Cake down on bottom. That is going to be a nice Blink coming out from Arise, but we do also have the Blink from Korok. He just needs to get some vision, but unfortunately his spirits are just out of range. Now Korok coming on through, looking for a Drunken Haze, but Arise just going to burrow, just going to Sandstorm, and the Blink will be back up to completely nullify this Relocate engage. Now, it's a nice little move because they do have the Lifestealer here. They actually can commit 4 heroes at once. Pretty much as soon as the Rubik joins the action. Actually, it could be the Rubik gets tethered up and the Brewmaster could blink in. So, either way, what we're saying is that if one person is anywhere nearby, if Brewmaster is within 1200 range of something, if the Rubik is dropping a telekinesis, suddenly there's 4 people there. There's the Nake's infested inside someone who is getting relocated into the fray, and there's the Nature's Prophet with a teleport. We are going to see Fluff get picked off here. Kind of a big mistake in this positioning. Just try to go a bit over aggressive, and you know, Kaipi actually really well in defending their position down here in the Radiant Jungle. And that's important, because if they don't have the jungle, what do they have? They really don't have anything to work with in this position here. They need to actually just kind of draw the line in the sand and make sure that this kind of quadrant of the map is very well taken care of. Otherwise, they're going to have a lot of issues. Bone 7 gets sprouted on in. He's going to actually be forced to TP because he doesn't have any tangos. That's rather unfortunate for him, but it's much better than feeding away a kill. Bulba has been on point with these sprouts, I gotta say. Like, I know this guy is great at the offlane in general, and he can play a very flexible set of heroes. As well, he has the potential to initiate across the map very, very nicely, push up when he's not needed there. Those are all great aspects of Bulba, but the shots from these sprouts, pretty much just perfect placement of trees every single time. And one thing is, Kaipi hasn't been doing too much as far as tree cutting. They don't have a Quelling Blade carry, and they actually don't have even any tangos. So if he ranks up this sprout, it's a hardcore root. It's a hardcore disable, keeping them in place, and that could be very, very dangerous for Kaipi. We do see that the tower will be pressured very, very quickly, and right now in this position here, it's all about Arise if they want to counter-engage. Rank 2 Epicenter definitely has that potential, but right now he's not in a position for it. All the way back in mid lane, it looks like they're just going to let it fall and try to put some counter pressure on the tier 1, but even then, not even anywhere near an even exchange. So I did hear an infest. It is inside Korok once more, looking for an opportunity to see somebody out of position here. Looks like the Dire Ward has expired though, and so Zizo, even if he's trying to bait, isn't going to find this opportunity here. We see just a regular teleport coming down from Bulba, but he is out of mana, no mechanism. He's just going to go for this deny, and he will actually get it. So nice for him. I'm actually surprised Arise didn't blink in the second he saw that deny, but nevertheless, it is going to be Bulba walking away with a couple of pennies snatched away from Kaipi. As far as big items go, it looks like Lesto is going to be picking up that Desolator very shortly. Only needs a recipe, and that's going to be beautiful for him if he wants to engage on hard right-click damage, which, of course, who doesn't? So we see that Gyrocopter answering back with a little bit of mobility through his drums. That's a powerful item, but the weakness is he doesn't have that much right-click damage. He doesn't have any lifesteal. So in the longer the fight goes on, TC is generally going to have the upper hand, and from there he's relying entirely on his team. He's relying on the team fight abilities of the Sand King, the Darkseer, and relying on the disables of the Lion and the Bane, just trying to make it so that he's in a favorable setting, because what he adds to this team fight isn't nearly what Lifestealers bring in. TC in the house has his Desolator up, and he is ready to rock and roll and just completely destroy anybody that's caught out of position. Roche, the Aegis is about to expire if it has not already. Yeah, it's already gone, but that's not that big of a deal. They still have plenty of time before the next one comes up. Important thing to mention here is Fluff and Stuff ranking up this null field. Fluff getting that ranked up to actually going to be maxing it out in just a couple levels. Well, no, he'll go for Spell Steal. So 3 levels away, he'll have that max null field, and that's going to be really good for them. Up against that Epi, up against everything, they pretty much just need that, and suddenly their team fight is that much easier. Piloty down on bottom, looking for aggression onto Bulba. He is relatively quick on his feet, 350 MS, but with nighttime vision, it's actually pretty easy to get that gank coming on in. We see the Railcade, the aggression is liquid, and now Eternal Envy caught in a terrible position. He does get nightmared up to delay the inevitable, but he still gets right click down. I'm not sure what that juke is supposed to be, but nevertheless, nice Impale coming out, triple Impale coming out of the Lion, but they got what they came for, and they can just let the Wisp make a long walk down here, and now capitalize even further on what they've already accomplished. My goodness. Getting relocated on in this position here, and then just going to the south makes absolutely no sense to me. Maybe somebody else has some ideas behind that, but it feels like it's pretty much giving away the only hope you have of trying to get on out of there. Either way, we do see here the tower dropping so darn quick with Desolator with Overcharge. Nyx just goes to town on it, but we do see Bone 7 coming with a big Blink Vacuum. The Epicenter a little bit belated though. Actually, Burst Striking on the supports will be able to bring down Fluff. No, Bulba gets the mechanism, and now all of them are caught out. The beautiful Tornado on the Bane, and now they can just follow this up with complete devastation. They have control of this team fight, and they will finish it off. 3 more seconds left on the Panda. Plenty of time to get these disables out, and now Arise coming in. Burrow Strike on 2. Alex might dropping low, but he does have Earn. Magic Wand, he will be able to survive. And now it's going to be EV popping off the BKB, but it might not be enough even then. They will let him go, but the Rax will be forfeit. And Liquid just completely cleaning house in this team fight. No chance at all. It feels like a bit of miscoordination. I mean, Darkseer blinked on in. Blink is great on Darkseer when you want to get those unexpected surprise pickoffs, but when you're surprising your team, you're not going to be actually coordinating and making things happen the way you intend to. So he blinked on in, he got a great vacuum off, but no wall of replica to follow, and most importantly, Arise had only just begun channeling his Epicenter immediately after the fact. And so you take 2 seconds to channel, and suddenly you don't really have that impact that you're looking for. So in this situation, he did burst down 2 supports, he brought down Fluff, he brought down Nature's Prophet very quickly, but a simple mechanism kept everybody alive for a 4-0 swing. A BKB charge popped off, a tier 2, tier 3, and Rax's down on bottom, and now Rubik answers back with a Blink Dagger of his own. What the heck? Alrighty then, so we do see Invis picked up. This could be really good for Fluff and Stuff, but it's actually going to be Korok that decides he wants to be the stealth panda. Just roaming on around, looking for an easy opportunity with the big guy being very invisible. Like Ix Mike's play with the Earn, he had like 4 or 5 charges from that last fight, and so decides to just kind of spread the wealth a little bit, using Overcharge and Arcanes and Earn to make sure that he can heal everybody back up to full. If you don't have to fall back to the base, you can just keep on farming away and keep that advantage rolling. Speaking of, 11k in gold. Oh my gosh, 10k in experience. That's a crazy amount. Look at these levels. We are right now, Arise needs to be level 16. Eternal Envy needs to have big items. Neither one is happening. He's got great defensive potential with BKB. He will be able to actually fight against the Brewmaster for the first time all game. But beyond that, It feels like their potential is rather lacking. Now we do see Roche about to respawn. Presumably Kaipi has timed this, but it will have to see if they actually make a move here. It looks like it's just going to be a free Roche, because in this position here, Arise is going to take forever to actually make things happen in that mid situation. So Bulba even messing around with TP a little bit, but they realize they just want to keep their focus where it is and bring down Roche insanely quickly. That's 0 armor on Roshan, all physical, dealing pure damage in this sense. So that's going to be a quick, easy Aegis for TC, and he already has a freaking Reaver. That heart's going to be up in no time at all, and now that counter push comes on out. Here is Bulba, and forcing out the blink. Arise is on out of here, but, you know, you got absolutely nothing from his participation on the top lane. Honestly, barely even hitting the tower. Like, that was just complete loss after loss for them, and it feels like Liquid is going to be moving in for the nail in the coffin very, very shortly, just trying to close the gap here and finish things off. Line about to hit level 2 ulti, going for the level 11. That could be very, very promising, but right now with this push potential, unless Bulba gets picked off, and he won't, very, very unfortunately, they surge in the disables, but Zizou can't get that Hex off, and instead they're kind of caught out. Now we do see the tier 2 dropping down quickly. The fortification is still unavailable. Invisible does come, but they actually go initiating all the way in the base. Here comes Bone with a beautiful vacuum. This is what time the wall replica hits. Where's Sand King jumping in? Burrow Strike and Sandstorm doing a lot, but it's not going to be enough here to clean anything up. Everything survives, and Panda on the front line has done so much. Now second wall replica dropping down, stolen by Rubik. A lot of damage potential here, and the right-click damage up the hill finishes off Arise. Bubble walking back on through the wall, could care less, as he wants to just put in pressure on this mid here. Tornado up on EE, he has popped off that Black King bar, and he cannot get down out of here. Too much damage coming out, he will be immediately bursted, and that's just a great play by them. Bone jumping in for another vacuum, but it's just too little too late. They might as well call GG right here, because the advantage Liquid gets out of this tower and rack skill pretty much seals the game for them. Just completely swings that fight in their favor, no chance at all. Liquid 24-13, and now about to take their second pair of racks without even losing a single tier 2. They have been in complete control of this game, and now finding another pickoff. Just over and over and over. Bone 7 not in the right spot, and now Zizou gonna get claimed as well. Pilotti, the one who lived to tell the tale, but unfortunately just that tale is one of sorrow, one of misery, and one of great shame, because Liquid have just completely picked apart their lineup and destroyed everything that they had going on. So that is gonna be it here. Real quick, I'm gonna be checking out. Never mind. So we do see Ike's Mike picking up that big Morbid mask here. That's going to be setting up the Wisp to actually claim a face. You just put a mask on top of the little star dude, and suddenly he's actually able to, you know, play Majora's Mask style or something. I don't even know. Either way, that is going to be Madhouse. Actually, he's going for a Bladge, which isn't too shabby. I'm joking about the Morbid mask, but you know, lifesteal on Wisp is silly. But we do see actually this engagement. They're kind of going, despite the GG call, they're going in for a last-ditch effort, bringing down TC. Aegis will come back up, but not so much for Bulba, not so much for IO, and this is kind of a fake GG. But the siege creep might be enough to finish this off and just bring down that Ancient. But they do try to turn around, put a few kills on the board, but there we go. In the end, it does fall. A little bit of silliness at the end, but in general, this game has just shown how powerful Liquid can be. A lot of potential when they go on the aggression, when they go and try to control the map, and that's one thing. Giving away that Wisp, giving away Nature's Prophet and Lifestealer, suddenly all that initiation is in Liquid's court, and they were able to draft up the way they wanted to, team fight the way they wanted to, and come out very, very far ahead. Lifestealer sitting at 637 GPM, not to last hits, he got 144. Very respectable, very nice. Bajar Copter got 190. The difference there is the KDA. 9, 1, and 8. Lifestealer having such great participation. His team in general finding great kills and setting them up nicely. So, in general, very smooth game for Team Liquid. They will take game 1 in this best of 3 series, and we'll see if Kaipi can answer back or if it's going to be a 2-0 swing. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And this has been Blaze of the Premier League. Again, solo casting isn't what I generally do. Usually have at least one good color commentator to reinforce my thoughts there and give you guys a little bit of a diverse opinion set. But either way, in this scenario, it's just going to be me solo casting for today, and hopefully that's still favorable for you guys. If you enjoyed the commentary, my Twitter is twitter.com/blazecasting. You can check me out there, and that's pretty much where I announce all my casts for the most part here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Going on into game 2 in just a minute.